Welcome everyone to a special interview edition of Monday Match Analysis. Today's episode is a conversation with Steve Weissman, prolific commentator and host at Tennis Channel. Just signed a 5-year extension with the network. Congrats to Steve on that. Great guy, tons of tennis knowledge. I don't want to get into like a very detailed topic by topic tease / preview, but basically we talk all things French Open, storylines, men's and women's side for this one. And then at the end, we both take an interest in food. So we talk some food at the end. Make sure to stick around for that. Without further ado, here's Steve Weissman. We're joined for the first time by Tennis Channel host and commentator Steve Weissman. Long time coming. Welcome and thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yes, long time coming. We've discussed this. We finally got a date that worked out. It's perfect because we're leading up to a major, to Roland Garros, and I'm thrilled to join you. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're very busy men, and but I will say you have been on the Rival podcast with Gruskin and Crack Rackets. So you thought you'd spread.
Is that Rival? I didn't know. I thought we were all friends here.
Well, it's a friendly rivalry. What's the difference, really, is what I would say to that. When are you leaving for Paris?
On Thursday. So today is Sunday. I know this is Monday Match Analysis, but keeping it real. So yes, I leave on Thursday. I was supposed to leave last Thursday. Obviously, Roland Garros got pushed back a week, so it enabled me to actually have a few days off, Gill, which is an extreme rarity in my life. So I've got NFL Network, as you can see my background tomorrow, and then get ready to go on Thursday to Paris.
Yes. A Northwestern helmet, is that?
It is. Yep. Go Cats. Purple Pride. In fact, 2 Northwestern helmets.
Yeah, look at that. All right.
And I've got a couple other ones. I switch them in and out. They've been Pat Fitzgerald, the whole Northwestern staff's been great, sending me stuff to put in my virtual background during these crazy times.
Yes, almost as beautiful as a Syracuse orange helmet. Almost there. So
I mean, orange is a fruit, purple is the color of royalty. So there's that. But whatever.
Sure. All right. Let's. So I do want to get into the logistics and what RG is going to look like this year. And it was so unconventional last year. And you were there experiencing that firsthand. But first, let's get into the field and some of the players. And we will start with the King of Clay going for French Open number 14. And it was like the rockiest road to 2 titles over the course of the European clay court season you could ever imagine for Rafael Nadal. But he comes out having won Rome, having won Barcelona. Where is your Nadal? And this is a big one. I should mention that this would be number 21. And we all remember Wimbledon 2009 when Federer passed Sampras and all that. Like, this could be a very historic one for Rafa Nadal. Where's your level of confidence that he is going to roll through and do what he's been doing over the last decade plus?
Roll through, I'm not sure. Win, very, very confident. I mean, when you have a record of 102, it starts and ends with you. And I believe once again, he comes in as the heavy favorite to win his 14th, which is just insane to say, Roland Garros title. And you mentioned a great point, Gill, 21, because this is extremely historic in the fact that he can pass Roger Federer for the most Grand Slam singles titles on the men's side of all time. So this would be huge. And obviously to do it on Philippe Chatrier in Paris, where he reigns supreme, I think would mean a lot to him. But he should come in with a ton of confidence. That win over Djokovic was massive. That was a great match, one of the best matches of the entire season. And to get, 2 more titles. So now he has literally at least 10 titles at 4 events is another insane number. I mean, over those 4 tournaments, he has 46 titles, which if you take all of Andy Murray's titles combined, and Andy Murray is a future Hall of Famer, he has 46 total. And that's a lot, by the way. A lot of great players don't even touch 30, 20 titles. Rafa with 46 in 4 events. So, he's been able to beat the best players. He comes in as the greatest on clay, still the greatest on clay. I loved his kind of low-key confident statement when asked about, the next generation taking over. And he was like, talk to me in 3 or 4 weeks. And we'll see about that. 3 out of 5 on clay. It starts and ends with Rafa. And to me, he's the heavy favorite.
I know I asked the question, but I've been watching you on TC, and I know you're very steady in your Nadal confidence, and he proves you right, at least in Rome. And let's see if he can do the same. Has anyone, though? I mean, you're surrounded by the royalty of tennis analysts. Your Chanda Rubins, your Paul Anacones, your Jim Couriers, and I know I can't name everyone.
Lindsay Davenport's.
Lindsay, yes. Has anyone is anyone saying, I don't know about this year, he doesn't look quite right?
No, nobody's saying that.
Okay.
And I mean, even after he doesn't win Monte Carlo or he doesn't win Madrid, I have learned, because I used to be that guy to be like, I wonder if he's going to be okay. And of course he's going to be okay, because 3 out of 5 is a totally different situation. And he knows what happened in Monte Carlo happened. What happened in Barcelona happened. What happened in Madrid happened. We are here. We are in Rome. We are here. We are in Paris. It's just a different ball game. And until somebody proves different, he's the guy. I mean, it's there's a lot of guys that are going to try and push him, but and there's a lot of talented players out there. And Stefanos Tsitsipas, who won Monte Carlo and got his first 1,000 and made the semifinals last year. I think, he's going to do really well. And Alexander Zverev, who won Madrid again and, was able to beat Thiem, to beat Rafa. But once again, 3 out of 5 on clay, on Philippe Chatrier, until it's been done twice, so it's not impossible, but until it happens again, I don't fully believe in it.
Yeah, who among that group of challengers? It's interesting. So Tsitsipas has definitely clicked in a way, and he was always dangerous, but now he's really beginning to deliver in the pressure moments with a lot more frequency. And I really think that clay suits his game. He returns much better on the surface. And Zverev, clay is probably his best surface. Djokovic is Djokovic. And he showed that in Rome. And then Dominic Thiem, he's far off at the moment, but in 2 weeks, when he gets to play some lower ranked players and get a day of rest in between, he could be a different player. But by the time he's through to the 4th round, right? So who among those guys would you say is the most dangerous to Nadal? Obviously, there's the textbook answer, but let's see if you go bold.
Well, no. So I read your power rankings, and I pretty much on the top half agree with your power rankings. I mean, I saw people say, "Oh, you can't put Dominic Thiem that low." He hasn't, in my opinion, garnered the benefit of the doubt that Rafa garners, right? So heading into Roland Garros, even if Rafa hasn't won any of the lead ups, he is still Nadal in Paris. Yes, Dominic Thiem has made 2 finals there, but he hasn't won there. So to me, he doesn't garner that. We're just going to rank him above Tsitsipas, who, by the way, won again today in Lyon, has the most wins on the season, leads the race to Turin, or Zverev, who has, made a couple of quarterfinals there, has won one of the lead-up events. So for me, he's right up there. Like, he's in the top 5, and will have a great opportunity. But it depends a lot, Gill, on what happens in the draw, because Rafa is going to be the 3 seed, and Daniil Medvedev. I mean, prove me wrong, Daniil. I love Daniil Medvedev. I would love for him to do well at Roland Garros. I don't predict it. So you could have Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, by the way, and I'm not discounting Roger at all. Like, this is a guy who a couple of years ago made the semifinals there. So it comes down to the draw for me in a big way. I mean, are Rafa and Novak going to have to play each other in the semifinals? And then who is on that other side that doesn't have to go through that, brutal Final Four match before they get to the championship.
Yeah, there's a risk here that the draw is like really unbalanced, and hopefully that doesn't happen, at least on the men's side. But yeah, that's a good point. That could very well happen, as you alluded to the world number two, who will be the number 2 seed. To me, I mean, let's hit on him. He's not fully in it mentally. He's complaining about the surface during the match that he's playing, which is I haven't seen much. But I want to throw this out here. What do you think of this? He has a troll-like persona, and I mean that in, kind of an endearing way, to be honest with you. I think he's very funny. I think he's a big personality, and I think that he could prove some people wrong, because if he just focuses and, quite frankly, competes and puts his head to the grindstone, he's had some big wins on clay. He was in a semifinal in Monte Carlo, a final in Barcelona. Like, we could turn around Roland Garros, and Medvedev actually decides that he wants to win some matches, and I think that he can do it.
That's the key right there, Gill. Decides that he wants to win some matches, because, as you know, tennis is all mental, 90% mental. And so the game is absolutely there. I love the personality. I love the game. I don't understand why he's become so frustrated on the surface of late. When you mentioned that success, I mean, the final in Barcelona wasn't that long ago. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, the serve is still there. The movement should be there. He should be able to get to, he should be like a Zverev on this surface, to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Zverev is very successful on clay. So does he believe in himself, and does he want to grind? And this is a guy who, at the US Open a couple of years ago, that's what he was. Like, he wanted to grind. He wanted to fight till the very end. So give me that Medvedev mindset, and yeah, he can prove a lot of folks wrong.
100%. I think Zverev's a good comparison, and it's all about digging in for him, because he's so consistent and so fit when he has that willingness to suffer a little bit. What about Osaka, who's kind of in a similar situation, having won back-to-back majors, yet comes on this surface and she's 1-2 clay court season, lost second round Madrid, first round Rome. What do you attribute that to?
That's a great question. I mean, never been past the third round at Roland Garros or Wimbledon, for that matter, and has 4 major titles outside of that. So once again, I think it is that belief. Do you want to suffer? I think that was a great point, Gil. I mean, this is a surface where you've got to, embrace the suffering and want to be out there for as long as possible. And grind it out. And once again, I think her game can suit any surface. I don't think her serve is as effective on clay. So I think she gets more free points on the hard courts as being one of the best servers on the WTA. It's not as effective on the red clay. So, maybe that's the one weapon that she's missing here. But it's wide open. I mean, we've had 4 winners on the men's side at Roland Garros since 2005. We'd have 12 on the women's side dating back that far. And in the last 5 years, it's been 5 different players, and, players that you would have never thought. I mean, nobody would have picked Iga Swiatek last year. And, a few years back, I don't know who would have picked Jelena Ostapenko. So I think Osaka, if she believes in herself and has some confidence, which she hasn't said that yet, but I hope these few weeks of training can prove that, she can certainly, win this title.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It puzzles me a little bit more in terms of her clay court struggles than a Medvedev. I think it's pretty clear what's going on there. But in terms of the women and it being wide open, would you say that Ash Barty is as big a favorite as there's been in a little while?
No.
There is Swiatek. Yeah. Now, okay. So how would your tiers go? Is it Barty and Swiatek, and then kind of everyone else?
Yeah.
Under that,
right now, that's where I put them.
Also is probably pretty threatening.
Yes, but she's a little dinged up right now.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks ago, I would have put Muguruza right up there and been like, yeah, she's kind of my favorite. She's been playing so well all year, so many wins. But starting in Charleston, where she retired from that match against Yulia Putintseva when she was like crushed her in the first set, and I think it was 2-2 in the second. But ever since then, she just hasn't been right physically. So if she's healthy, absolutely, but I don't know that she is. Mm-hmm. And then, so you've got Barty, who's and Swiatek, who to me, I say they're co-defending champions because Barty wasn't, there a year ago. You've got Serena, who to me, once again, like Rafa, earns every benefit of every doubt, right? You win 23 majors, you win 3 Roland Garros titles, you're the GOAT. Like I give you a free pass to say, yeah, you can absolutely win. If Serena won, it wouldn't shock me because she's Serena Williams and she can do anything. So you have her, and then you have a variety of players who have done well, won their first titles this year. I think somebody like Veronika Kudermetova could surprise a lot of folks this year. I was taking a look at the quarterfinalists and semifinalists from last year, and I'm like, how many of these players are going to get back? I mean, I don't see Nadia Podoroska getting back to that level. Martina Trevisan getting back to the quarterfinals this year. I don't know that I see Sofia Kenin getting, that far this year. She's dealing with a lot of stuff off the court that has been rough. For me, there's a player like Bianca Andreescu who, other than the U.S. Open, hasn't been past the second round in any other major. But when she's healthy, I think she just wins. So I think she can win on this surface. I think she can win on any surface. If she is healthy, which we'll find out this week in Strasbourg, how she does. Is she able to play well? If she's healthy, she doesn't lose really. So I put her up there. But there's so many options on the women's side. Somebody like Coco Gauff, who's coming off of the double in Parma. So she won singles and doubles there. Youngest player to do that since Sharapova, back in, I think, 2004. Now at 25 in the world, a Roland Garros junior champion. She's going to be seated. I was watching her on Instagram Live after she won Parma, and somebody typed in, you're going to be seated in Paris. She was like, really? Are you sure? Like, she had no idea. Like, that's cool.
That's awesome. I love that. I love when that happens.
Right? I mean, she's awesome just as a human, as a player. I truly believe in her. And, now that she's kind of got the clay legs under her and she believes in herself on the surface, there's really no stopping her. I think she's won like 20 of her last 26 matches. So comes in with a lot of confidence. That's somebody that I like there as well. Plus she's playing for an Olympic spot. She's right behind Madison Keys for that 4th and final, single spot for the U.S. I think Maddie's ranked 24 and she's ranked 25. So that's some extra motivation to get there. So we'll see. I mean, but I don't put. I think Barty has proven a lot of folks wrong this year. So yeah, she's a co-favorite to me, but I don't put her on the Rafa level of favorite.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. That was a great rundown of the women's field. I have very little add because that was perfect. I want to move to just the mechanics of the French this year. It was about 1,000 fans at Chatrier last year, and now, unfortunately, a year later, you have just clearly COVID still looming large and being a problem because the tournament was postponed a week, and that was an effort to try to wait out government restrictions and allow more fans inside. What's the latest that you're hearing on what the expectation is for fans at RG?
Well, for right now, I know that the players specifically are once again in a bubble. So they can only, be at their hotel and be on site. So that is just like last year. It depends really on the government what happens. There's still a curfew right now in Paris. And we've got night matches for the first 10 days of the event for the first time. So I'm not sure how that...
Unless there's a curfew.
Well, no, they can play. They just wouldn't have fans.
Okay.
So just like, any event that is played, without fans, the event gets some sort of a stipulation that, it can go on, but without fans.
Sure.
So I don't know how that's going to work, though. I mean, certainly they could have the night session for television, and it's prime time, and that's when they play the, all the soccer games, or that's kind of their start time is 9 p.m. In France. So I think it's 5,000 for the first week, and then it can get to like 75%, starting quarterfinals and on, or maybe it's June 7th or June 9th. I'm not exactly sure what the date is, but that's when some of the restrictions lessen. So that's what I know as of now.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anyone in France who you talk to? I don't really have anyone to give me the lowdown, but in terms of the reason I ask is because it feels like in the States we're fortunate enough to be going the right direction pretty quickly at the moment when it comes to vaccination. So I am curious if you know anything about their trajectory in France.
Not that I'm an expert on that I could speak about. I could say,
Okay.
like, I've seen a lot of players on their Instagrams that are already in Paris, and they don't seem crazy restricted. But I could tell you more, once I get there.
Sure.
Obviously.
Well, we know what Elise Cornet would say.
Yes, so she would be very honest. And then she would say, between you and me.
I'll edit that in.
But we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to find out. I know that because I'm fully vaccinated, I will not have to test once I get there. So I have to take a test 72 hours before I land, have a negative test 72 hours before I land. But last year I was tested when I landed and then every week thereafter. But if you're fully vaccinated and have that negative test when you arrive, you no longer have to test when you're there. So that's different than last year. I believe there's a 7-day isolation period for us when we get there, meaning we just go from our hotel to the site. But that after that, I believe we can be free.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the curfew as well. I don't know. For me, Gill, I'm like working 13-hour days every day there, and it's just
fair enough.
Hotel, it's site, and I'm just focused on the tennis. But I hope as many people can come as possible, because it does obviously add to the atmosphere.
Right, Steve. I'm thrilled about the night sessions because I got to be honest with you. I mean, I love the French Open, but that irked me. I didn't like how matches were stopped and resumed the next day because I think that changes outcomes. I think that affects the winner of the match. And I'd much rather these matches be decided, in one day with the addition of light. So I'm really happy about this. As someone who's been a part of that tournament, do you share my sentiments?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think 9:00 is a little late to start a night session. 7:00, right? That's when we play our night games here.
Yes.
So to me, you do like the US Open and you have 2 matches, because one match as well, that could end very quick. And if I paid a ton of money to see one match and it lasts for an hour, I don't know if I'm satisfied with that. But yes, overall, I like the idea. I like the concept. I think it can be tweaked to be better. So,
Sure.
Maybe if we compromise and say 8:00, I don't know, the 9:00, just as an American, I can't really wrap my head around that. It seems way too late to be starting for one match, right? So, but having the lights and having the night tennis, I'm a big fan of that in general.
Okay. Well, work in progress. But we're getting there. Roof as well.
But also for the US, it's better for you to watch it here. The later it is there, yes, the better it is here. So yes, that's also beneficial.
Think about the ratings, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. It's great. Let's go. Let's start at 11 p.m. local time. No sleep for Steve.
Yes. You're one for catchphrases. I want to bring this up. You have a lot of catchphrases, and there are a couple that have stuck in my head. Okay, there's Fabio Fognini once won a tennis match. You said real G's move in silence, and that's a Lil Wayne reference. I
Like
also
Fonini. Yeah. Real G's
real
move in
G's
silence.
move in silence like Fognini. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because it would be
Finish that
real
off.
G's move in silence like lasagna is
Right.
Lil Wayne's line. And so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's Ball Don't Lajovic
Correct.
for Dusan Lajovic.
Yep.
But surely there are some that that haven't stuck in my head that or maybe that I've missed. So can you give me some of your favorites?
Jeez, you put me on the spot. I mean, those are the two that I use most frequently, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
There definitely are some others, but I come up with them sometimes when I'm literally calling the match, and then I'm like, oh, I like that. I'll continue to use that, whenever that person plays again. But I'll have to think about that because nothing else stands out to me at this moment, other than those two. But I know there are some others.
Okay. Okay. I'll keep my ears listening. There's no keep my eyes peeled equivalent
Right.
to the listening is what I've just noticed.
My ears perked up.
Perked. Yes. Perfect. When 2 years ago, when we had our last normal French Open, I was there because I made the short flight. I spent a lot of that summer in London, so I took the short trip to Paris. And if you weren't subscribed to my YouTube channel at that point, for those watching, you can look up French Open vlog and you can enjoy my day at the French Open. But for us, we went and grabbed a bite. We ate snails
We did.
because we want to experience the fullest effect of the Parisian food. So we had snails together. I want to talk about food at the slams before we wrap up. Okay.
Okay.
I will say that when I was in Paris, I don't think I had one single bad meal. But if you were to compare and contrast the four slams when it comes to food, how would you assess that?
Well, full disclosure, I do want everybody to know that your girlfriend, longtime girlfriend Jenna, is my cousin. So we were linked up because Jenna's mom is one of my cousins, obviously, as well. And so Amy told Jenna that I was there, and then it's like, oh, Jenna's boyfriend loves tennis, and that's you. And so it's this happy actual family. Paris, New York. I haven't even been to Australia, and I'll put Australia above Wimbledon. Maybe not London, but Wimbledon. So yeah, Paris is the best. We had a lovely meal. There's a restaurant called L'Avenue that I would literally eat at every night. 2 years ago, when I booked my hotel, the main reason I stayed at this place is because it was 2 blocks from L'Avenue, and I just wanted to eat there every night. And they have a dish called 6 extraordinary snails, and they're the best snails you'll ever have. So I love the food there. The Hemingway bar at the Ritz is really cool. I mean, French food is just the best. I love it in Paris, and the breakfast. I mean, I love the croissants and all the pastries, and my espresso every morning, and looking out over the balcony. I don't know. I just, Paris to me is the most charming city of all the slams. And once again, people say Melbourne's amazing. I would love to go there. I hope one day I'm blessed and able to do that. But I haven't been able to go there yet. New York, as you know, food's incredible. I love dining out in the city. The food on site is great. My guy Pat LaFrida, his filet sandwich, I rock those like every night. The smoothies that they make in the Players Lounge are so good. The sushi there is good. The lobster rolls. I mean, when I was calling matches there for ESPN back in the day, Mark Woodford and I, the Hall of Fame doubles player, who I'm actually having dinner with tonight, him and his family are coming by. We would get lobster rolls for every match that we called, sometimes 2 in a day. So love the food in New York. Wimbledon just leaves something to, British food, they're not known for their food, right?
100%.
I'm not a fish and chips guy. Like, that's not my jam. So, and a lot of their cuisine is others' cuisine. So in Wimbledon Village, there's a nice Thai place, there's a nice Indian place. They're fine, but I could get that here. So there's just nothing extraordinary about it. Most of it is actually not great. Now, for sure, there's 3 Michelin star restaurants in London. But when you're covering Wimbledon, you're not in London. You're staying in Wimbledon Village, which is a completely different experience and culinary experience. So if I were in London, I think I would rate it differently. But yeah, Paris, New York, for me, so far above all the others.
Yeah, for sure. You and I are both missing Australia, so we don't have that. But everyone says it's like the greatest coffee city in the world, which makes me really want to go because I'm obsessed. New York, though, Astoria, the Greek food, I think deserves a shout out because that is just an incredible little spot for Greek food and really good Asian food in Queens as well. Yeah,
Literally is great.
Yeah.
New York is such a potpourri of cultures, and they do it the best, really.
Yes.
It all started there in terms of having those really good restaurants. I think New York, and they've maintained that. So, but all of those chefs, not all, many of those chefs got their training in France, and the base of their culinary expertise is French cooking, and a French kitchen, and that's really the basis of most really high-end cuisine to this day.
Yeah, if there was one thing that maybe the people at Wimbledon could brag about when it comes to food and drink, is that you can have a pint on the sidewalk or the pavement, as they would call it, outside, and there are no rules against that. Where if you go to a bar or something in the States, and I think it might be the same way in Paris. Anyway, you can't take it outside.
True. I appreciate a Pim's Cup. I do like a Pim's Cup.
Yes.
One thing that really disappointed me, Gill, was growing up, you're watching Wimbledon and breakfast at Wimbledon, all that stuff. You see the strawberries and cream. You're like,
uh-oh, be careful.
So the day I get to London, the day I get to Wimbledon, that's the first thing I'm going to eat is I'm going to order strawberries and cream. So as an American, you think delicious strawberries, and then I think sweet whipped cream. It's not that. It's kind of sour strawberries and sour milk.
It's a little tart.
Yeah, it's not good. And I really bummed me out because strawberries and cream was, going to be the highlight of my Wimbledon experience, and it turned out to be one of the bigger disappointments. I would take the strawberries without that milk.
Really, I like I like the tart little kind of buttery aspect that the cream gives. But okay, I want to you cook yourself as well, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about food. I know you're a foodie and you cook as well. What would your signature dish be at the Weissman Grand Slam?
So it's tough to pick one, but I actually did a cooking demonstration for City Taste of Tennis during the pandemic. And so I would start out with my seared scallops with a blackberry habanero sauce. So it's a sweet with heat sauce that I reduce and boil down and add some agave and a little bit of salt. But basically it's just blackberries and a couple, depending on how hot you want it, is when you take the habaneros out of the sauce. Because even if they're in there for a little bit, you're getting that kick. And then scallops is pretty simple to, you just pan sear them, little extra virgin olive oil in the pan, and minute 30 on each side, get them nice and brown. You want to salt and pepper them. So I'd plate that. That would be one of the appetizers. Then, I made my chicken marsala for City Taste of Tennis, and that's one of my new signature dishes that is just so delicious. And I didn't know how good it was until I made it. And I add some prosciutto in there, so it gives it that little saltiness with the mushrooms and the marsala wine. There's just, I never really had it before, but it's amazing when you reduce that with some chicken stock and obviously the breaded chicken breast that you pound down, and so I'd probably put the chicken marsala in there. I'm a big steak guy as well. I love making filet, so we may have to have 2 meats on in the dish there. And that, once again, these things you just want to get really good product and then cook them very simply. It's just salt and pepper for the most part, and let whatever that protein is shine on its own. And I would probably make my pecan pie for dessert, and then I would probably make my chocolate martini to add to the pecan pie in the dessert realm. I also make a really nice bourbon maple lemon cocktail that I would serve earlier on in the meal. So yeah, I think that stuff would get in there. I make these really, in my opinion, really good ribs, like barbecue ribs. But I don't know that it goes with any of that stuff. That kind of is on its own, like a rib day. You just put them in the oven for 3.5 hours, and the whole house just smells so good.
So if you didn't know before, you want to be good friends with Steve Weissman and try to get him to cook for you. And that's what we've learned here on Monday Match Analysis, as well as just a fantastic discussion, French Open storylines, and those of us who watch Tennis Channel. It's a pleasure to hear you on there. You do such a fantastic job. And again, thanks so much for coming on, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Hope to see you out in LA sometime very soon. And congratulations, by the way. Gill just graduated literally today. So congratulations. It's amazing. Another in the long line of Syracuse broadcast future legends. So congratulations, and give my best to Jenna and the family.
Too kind. Will do. All right, thanks again to Steve Weissman. Such a good guy, as good as they come. Content next week, of course. As soon as the draw comes out, I will get cracking on Roland Garros quarter-by-quarter predictions. That video will be out before Monday. I also have another interview coming up or I actually already did it, but I haven't released it yet, with Victoria Chiesa, who is a former lines umpire, and just kind of specializes in issues with umpiring and lines judging. There's a lot of things going on in that space right now, so I talked to Victoria. Good discussion there. That'll come out a little bit later in the week, midweek, in the coming days. Remember, if you are not subscribed to Monday Match Analysis on your favorite podcast platform, please do that. YouTube, that stands for YouTube as well. Make sure you're subscribed. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.